It's both an honor and a privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker for this year's annual public meeting, a person whom we all know well and whose career and values are deeply aligned with the mission of Balance for Blind Adults. On the occasion of her retirement and after 10 years of dedicated leadership as CEO at Balance, we recognize and honor a truly remarkable leader who has been steadfast as an advocate, an educator, and a leader in the field of disability inclusion for over 4 decades. Dr. Deborah Gold began her journey in 1981 during the International Year of Disabled Persons, working on a pioneering summer inclusion project supporting multi-disabled children here in Toronto. That early commitment set the course for a career marked by passion, innovation, and unwavering dedication. With a PhD in social policy and disability, Deborah has contributed extensively as an academic, a consultant, and a change maker. And for the past 25 years, her work with CNIB and beyond has focused specifically on enhancing the lives of individuals with vision loss, advocating for their needs, and supporting their families and communities. And today, as she prepares to enter the next chapter of her life, we have the privilege of hearing from her once more as today's keynote speaker. Over to you, Deborah.
Good afternoon, everyone. As our world faces all kinds of threats on multiple levels, it can feel almost inconsequential to comment on my own small and very personal perspective in my own very small sphere of influence. But I've always believed that we can change the whole world with exactly this kind of work. So speaking about it seems fitting and perhaps in some way hopeful and helpful. When I applied for the position of executive director at the time at Balance almost a decade ago, I was immediately attracted to an organization that believed its clients truly were at the center of its work, that community engagement could be facilitated, and that people with visual disabilities could receive support to be full and active participants in their own futures and in all that their communities had to offer. I saw a small organization with a solid foundation and philosophy around equity and inclusion of people with disabilities. It was a great match for my own philosophy and my professional passion from the beginning of my career. Balance and me, I could see we would be a good fit. Excuse me. Looking back over my professional journey, I see two major themes consistently re-emerging throughout my working life, and perhaps you'll identify with them yourselves. One, inclusion of people with disabilities in the regular life of communities is perhaps what one might call a content theme, the thing that makes the most sense, that has the power to change lives, and in the end means everything to healthy communities as well as to the individuals themselves. The other is instrumental to my success, the success of organizations like Balance, and to all staff and board teams everywhere. And this theme too means a great deal to me. Leadership and leadership development, for me, yes, but also for those who have reported to me over the years, because a good leader makes all the difference to any team. Let's start with the first theme, the social inclusion of people with disabilities in everyday activities of the community, work, school, leisure, life. Because of this theme, I'm what you'd call an ally. I don't have a disability, at least not a permanent one, but I consider myself somebody who has stood by and with people who have them since I was about 16 years old. So before my career path actually got started, I began in the field of recreation. What better place to facilitate inclusion? My first real job was as a day camp counselor, like so many people. I started with summer work for the city of Kitchener, and I loved it. I was learning how to be a leader and having fun in nature every single day. It was a great match. And I met my first child with a disability there, remembering I was 16, so pretty much close to a child myself. My job being to ensure he was included in all of the activities of my group. I had 2 weeks to make sure that inclusion was real and no training, no books, no research, just a belief by the camp director that I could do it. I don't remember how I was selected for this interesting new challenge or if it was just the luck of the draw, but I was lucky. I loved it. The challenge of helping other kids to include this child in their activities. And here's the thing we often forget in this field, something that people doing what's now called DEI and A work now know, something that academics in social policy and disability have known for a long time and wrote about back in the 80s. something that Judith Snow and others in the Circles of Friends movement taught, and what everyone knows who's part of an inclusive community. Non-disabled people want to be accepting. Our job as allies, advocates, and facilitators is simply to set up inclusive opportunities and get out of the way. I marked the beginning of my actual career in this field, as Robin mentioned, with the year 1981, the International Year of Disabled Persons. How fitting. Canada celebrated this occasion with the publication of the Obstacles Report. Yes, it was a time when we were very focused on barriers. I think I still have a copy in a box somewhere. Computers existed, but there was no internet yet. And we were 13 years away from seeing the first smartphone. So that's right. A report about the barriers facing people with disabilities in Canada was published in hard copy only, and yes, with lots of photographs, completely inaccessible to people with print and visual disabilities. The irony doesn't escape us now, but like so many other achievements of their time, we only know in retrospect how far we had to go. The summer of 1981, I worked for 4 months on a federally funded program to include children with multiple disabilities in their local recreation opportunities here in Toronto, also mentioned by Robin. Graduating with an undergrad degree in drama, and not at all sure what I would do with that, even though I loved it, and with this incredibly impactful summer experience in downtown Toronto, I was inspired to apply for the master's program in recreation and leisure studies at the University of Waterloo, with a focus on disability and inclusion. I had the great good fortune to work with phenomenal professors, Peggy Hutchison and John Ward there, to whom I'm so grateful for opening my eyes further regarding social justice and people with disabilities. Peggy's passion was friendships between people with disabilities and those without. In 1982, I was hired back at Kitchener's Parks and Recreation Department as their Leisure Buddy program coordinator, a brand new program where I was responsible for matching young people without disabilities with children with a disability so they could fully participate in all of Kitchener's summer programs. I've since coordinated volunteers full-time for the Recreation Department at Holland Bloorview, taught inclusive recreation principles at the University of Manitoba, and completed a doctorate, as some of you know, in social policy and disability at Syracuse University. My thesis focused on constructed friendship groups for children with a developmental disability. I thought a lot about the feeling I get when communities of any size or type, and no matter how you define them, accept, adapt for, and accommodate a person with a disability. When differences of the body, mind, and spirit are not the most important thing about the person. When children, youth, and adults can find common ground, no matter their differences. When doors are opened, access is made equal and equitable, and people can connect and learn from each other because everyone is included. The script says that I don't know how to name this feeling, but clearly I get moved. It's a great feeling. After concluding my doctoral studies and some years of post-secondary teaching, I took a job at CNIB in the year 2000. Except for the 1981 summer position where one of the children was blind, I'd never worked with or even met anyone who was blind before. But I loved my work immediately. The people I worked with, the field of vision rehabilitation as a whole, my colleagues, the clients I met, and the professional opportunities it afforded me were all excellent. While I started as National Children's Coordinator, I was lucky to have an incredibly kind, funny, and supportive boss. And because she and the then Vice President, Jim Sanders, supported my ideas, I was able to start writing successful grants with the federal government and quickly developed CNIB's first social research unit based on these monies. It was also the first of its kind in our country, a research department dedicated to better understanding the lives of blind people, the people we were serving, and feeding the knowledge back into the program development across the nation. We developed resources for parents, teachers, and other professionals. Through our 2005 study, An Unequal Playing Field, which we repeated in 2011, we documented people's needs and shared our findings in Ottawa to try and shift the needle of social policy. We reported on many continuing disparities, including a terrible rate of employment. That is 35% of blind people had a job of some kind versus 52% for people with any disability. It's changed a bit, but not enough. We also documented the extent to which Blind Canadians said that yes, various technologies were now available to them, but they needed much more training on how to use them. Good evidence mattered then, and it matters now. We also did a number of employment studies. And when you look at balance programs today, it's clear that we are attempting to address exactly the challenges I was involved in exploring as a researcher 20 years ago. It was fun to come to a place where I would be responsible for delivering services and use evidence with which I was very familiar to work with my team to shape and strengthen the organization's offerings. To move from research to praxis was an incredible opportunity to explore what was possible and to make possible what we knew, to help solve problems that we knew existed because of what people were telling us. I mentioned leadership development as the other theme that's marked my career. I would hazard a guess that most of us who end our careers in executive leadership roles would say that our development as leaders took place throughout our work experiences. It's just part of the package. For me, it started way back with those day camp counselor experiences. In fact, in children's camping, the other word for counselor is leader. Through all of the opportunities to lead teams over all of my years of work, I've noticed that there is really just one thing, besides being willing to step up and step in, that all good leaders have in common: the ability to listen well to their team members, clients, partners, and others. I'm still learning this skill, but at least I've become good enough with it that my team knows they can bring me new ideas and I will listen. There are many other key skills for sure, but this is the most important one. And for those of you here who want to hear it again, listening is the most important leadership skill there is. And this is what I've learned about why developing great leadership skills in others is important. First, mentorship of others pays dividends because when people have opportunities to learn on the job, they like to come to work. And they too learn to listen, which builds a stronger team. And second, people want to be challenged in their work, not bored. And they deserve opportunities to do more, even if they don't think so at the time. They will rise to the occasion. We found that out of balance. Here's 2 ways I know these things are true. As my dad used to say, the proof is in the pudding. 1, our balanced staff team embraces new ideas from me, from each other, and from clients. And 2, the team takes initiative. They design and lead implementing their own ideas. Much of what we are doing at Balance now and what we will do in the next few years under new leadership has been initiated by members of our staff team and simply supported at the executive level. I'm just getting out of the way. I take great pride that I'm leading the organization with this depth of employee engagement. Since the start of my tenure at Balance, and most especially inspired during the COVID-19 pandemic, we have learned to lean on each other, figured out how to sway with the challenges we've had to face, and been courageous about trying new ways of doing things. Establish a telesupport system during the first year of the pandemic? No problem. Try teaching assistive technology remotely? Sure, let's try that. Actually, that idea was waiting for me when I arrived. Thank you, Doug. It was the pandemic that pushed us to actually implementing. Apply for a grant to teach pre-employment skills? Yes, let's do it. And another, and another. And we got them all. Hire a self-defense expert to teach blind adults, partner with a community health center and community arts group to deliver excellent adaptive programs, build a mental health support specialty, and bring in counselors with lived experience to deliver it. Yes, yes, and yes. Embracing innovation rather than fearing it is, I think, the sign of a strong team. In this day and age, if we can't be nimble and flex to shifting demands and needs, organizations will fail. It's the power of ongoing opportunities for leadership development combined with commitment and passion that resulted in our staff team's selection earlier this year for an award of distinction from the Biana Family Foundation and the United Way Greater Toronto. I'm so proud of what we have been able to achieve together. Back in 2008, I was asked to deliver a keynote address at, wait for it, the International Conference of the Association for Education and Rehabilitation of the Blind and Visually Impaired. It's a mouthful. It's the professional organization for vision rehabilitation in North America. They asked me because I was the first, and as it turned out, the only, editor for a short-lived new journal called Insight. This was the one and only opportunity of my career to speak to a crowd that size, a giant hotel ballroom filled in Chicago, filled with close to hundreds, close to 1,000 people, hundreds of people. My first slide was an image of me bundled up in a bright blue and pink jacket with a knit cap on my head, sailing through the air at the end of a giant bungee cord, not far from Queenstown, New Zealand. I told the story of how I was incredibly nervous, but determined, and how I comically practiced the night before, jumping off the bed in our hotel room. I talked about how bungee jumping is a literal leap of faith, and how starting a new endeavor of any kind was just exactly like this, a giant leap of faith. The people who established this organization, Balance for Blind Adults, took a similar leap, and I know we are all grateful to Sue Gamage and her colleagues for seeing a gap and working hard to fill it by establishing the organization over 40 years ago. I want to thank my first board of directors, those who hired me, for taking exactly that kind of leap of faith when you did so. All new hires at any level are indeed such leaps. At the executive level, there is some additional risk. To all my board chairs and directors over the years, thank you for your consistent support and encouragement, and most especially for your dedicated passion for and commitment to balance. I am indebted to you for your excellent and challenging questions, your attention to good governance, and to detail so that we can do and be better. Thank you for believing in me. To my staff team, past and present, thank you for your incredible creativity and productivity. Thank you for trusting me to lead you. And thanks also for giving your all to our clients, and for always going above and beyond for them and for our organization. Thank you for taking a leap of faith each and every time I asked you to, and for always stepping up, for your incredible patience as we went through some growing pains. It's been one of the true pleasures of my career to work with you all. To our community, thank you for your love and support for Balance. It means the world to us that you trust us with your skills learning, counseling, and rehabilitation needs, and the fun that we provide through our groups. I hope that you will continue to join us for more exciting developments in the future, and I wish each and every one of you the very best in your journeys, wherever they may take you. And to our donors, you make so much more possible. It's difficult to describe how amazing the feeling of somebody in my position is, that I can say yes to requests for funds to pay for new devices for teaching, or yes to an important staff training or professional development opportunity, or yes to something I haven't even thought of yet. Your donations make the ability to say yes so much easier than it used to be. Thank you. To our new CEO, who is here tonight, I'm proud to pass the torch to you. I can think of no more worthy successor. Balance will be in balance will be in capable hands. Personally, I want to thank all my incredibly supportive family throughout my entire working life. My parents, who raised me to believe in social justice and equality, and who were so proud of my studies and my work. My siblings, who have always encouraged and supported me. My wonderful children, who've grown up to be incredible young adults, leading the way in their own careers and living their lives on their own terms, and definitely teaching me new ways of thinking about leadership, inclusion, diversity, and so much more. My amazing husband, there with me throughout this journey and ever in my corner. I will always appreciate the opportunities I've been privileged to have throughout my career, and especially the unique one I was given to lead this amazing organization. For the trust that was placed in me to be courageous so that we could get to where we are today, to take some risks and reap the benefits, to have faith we would achieve what we needed to achieve in order to be as strong as we are today. As I start my next journey, I feel incredibly proud and deeply grateful. Thank you.